Hello, this is Mr. Brooks, and welcome to Chapter 7, Lesson 7.1, Ratios and Proportions. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to write ratios and solve proportions. First, let's begin by reviewing what a ratio is. A ratio is simply a comparison of two amounts or quantities or numbers. So we could simply say, here's a ratio. One way to write a ratio would be A to B. You could write A colon B, which is read the same way, A to B. But the way we're mostly going to see how to write a ratio is A over B. So any fraction that you see is a ratio. All right, in example 1, they're asking us to write a ratio of the width of the photo to the width of the poster. They tell us the width of the photo to be 8 inches. They tell us the width of the poster to be 2 feet. So the first thing we're going to do is have to change either inches into feet or feet into inches. Hopefully everybody realizes 2 feet is the same as 24 inches. So your ratio of the width of the photo, 8, to the width of the poster, 24. So it's in a ratio of 1 to 3. 1 over 3 is the ratio of the width of the photo to the width of the poster. Biggest point here is to make sure you have everything in the same units before you set up your fraction and reduce. Quick check number 1 is asking us to write a ratio of the height of the photo to the height of the poster. Please pause the video while you try to figure this out. Well, the height of the photo is 5 1/3 inches. The height of the poster is 1 1/3 feet. So, first thing we have to do is change the feet into inches. Hopefully everybody agrees this is the same as 16/3 inches. Now, this is the same as 4/3 feet. Now to change feet to inches, you multiply this by 12. So we'll multiply by 12 over 1, and we will get 48/3, which is 16 inches. So the height of the photo was 16/3 to 16. So we'll put that over 16, or 16 over 1. Now, how do you divide fractions by fractions? You invert and multiply. So we're going to have 16/3 times 1 over 16. The 16's cancel, just give us a ratio of 1 to 3. Height of the photo to the height of the poster is a ratio of 1 to 3. Next, we need to review what is a proportion. A proportion is simply when you set one ratio equal to another ratio. So if we have the ratio A over B equaling C over D, that is a ratio. All right. Now we know many ways to write that same ratio. Here are 4 different ways to write that ratio. The first and most popular is going to simply be cross products. A times D is going to equal B times C. Another way to write that same ratio would be A over C equaling B over D. All right. A third way to write it would be B over A equaling B over C. As you can see on both of these, your cross products still give us what we had here. Now, the final way to write this would be A plus B all over B equaling C plus D all over D. All right, I need you to know all four of these ways to write this ratio. Example number 2 asks us to work with the proportion x over y equaling 5 over 6. So, according to our cross product property, 6 times x has got to equal 5 times y, or y times 5, but you should always put your coefficient, the number, out in front of the variable. If we put y over x for this one, then we're going to put 6 over 5 for this one. X over 5 would be y over 6, and x plus y over y should equal 5 plus 6 over 6, which you would then, of course, simplify to 11 over 6. Quick check number 2 asks us to write two proportions that are equivalent to m over 4 equaling n over 11. Please pause the video and see if you can come up with 3 proportions equal to this proportion. Well, hopefully one of them you came up with was m over n equaling 11 over 4. Another one would be 4 over m equaling 11 over n. You see how the cross products should always equal 11m equaling 4n. 11m equaling 4n. 11m equaling 4m. And last, you could say m plus 4 all over 4 equals n plus 11 all over 11 as well. And one thing I forgot to mention from earlier on the page is when you have your proportion, 2 of these are called your means and 2 are called the extremes. And it doesn't really matter which ones are which. Just know whenever somebody says the product of the means equal the product of the extremes, they're talking about cross products. I simply say your means equal your extremes, and that means multiplying your cross products. Example 3 asks you to solve each of these proportions. So of course we're going to use cross products to solve it. First we're going to multiply 7 times x, and that's got to equal 5 times 12. So 7x has to equal 60, and you divide both sides by 7. So x equals 60 over 7, and you can certainly leave your answer just like that. The next one, cross products, 4 times the quantity of y plus 3 has to equal 8 times y, or 8y. We distribute the 4, then we're going to subtract 4y from both sides, so we get 12 equals 4y. Last, we divide both sides by 4, and we get y to equal 3. We have solved both proportions. Quick check number 3 asks you to solve both of these proportions. Please pause the video while you try to figure this out. Again, we are going to use cross products. 5 times 3 equaling 20 times z. So 5 times 3 equaling 20z. 15 equals 20z. Divide both sides by 20 and reduce. 3/4 equals z. Now let's try part B. 18n is going to equal 6 times the quantity of n plus 6. 18n, distribute your 6, 6n plus 36. Now we're going to subtract 6n from both sides. We get 12n equals 36. Divide both sides by 12. N equals 3. Example 3 asks us to look at a scale drawing. Now remember, your scales can be different depending on your figure. It could be 1 inch equals 100 miles, or 1 inch equals a foot, or 1 millimeter equals 1 meter. You have to always check the scale. Example 3 asks us to measure with a ruler the length of the bedroom, L, and then find out what the actual length is using the scale. As you can see from this photo, the length of the bedroom on the floor plan is 7/8 of an inch. Now, 1 inch equals 16 feet. So our scale is 1 inch equals 16 feet. So 7/8 of an inch will equal how many feet? You could put X or L. I'll use X. And now, once we get X, that will be the actual length of the bedroom. How are we going to solve this? Hopefully, you're going to use cross products. 16 times 7/8 equals 1 times X. 1 of that. Cross out, make that a 1. That becomes a 2. So the actual length of the bedroom is 14 feet. Quick check number 4 asks us to get the actual width of the bedroom, the width, W. So first we're going to have to measure that on a ruler to get the width of the scale drawing of the width of the bedroom on the floor plan. As you can see, the width of the bedroom is 5/8 of an inch. So we have to figure out how much 5/8 of an inch is in feet if our scale is 1 inch equals 16 feet. So again, we set a proportion. 1 over 16 equals 5/8 over X, or W. All right, and cross products, so we're going to do 16 times 5/8 equaling 1 times X, which is just X. So 1 of that becomes a 1, that becomes a 2. So the width of the bedroom is going to be 10 feet. This concludes lesson 7-1.